my best friends. Some people say we have a problem, but every night I make a new best friend, and the only problem is we like having a good time.
Hello. Good evening, love wrestling. It's Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock, and you know what that means.
What does it mean, JPJ? What does it mean?
It's another episode of Between Two Beards. Thank you all for hopping in. Pluggo, it's been a little bit. I feel like we haven't chatted as much like this week that we normally do. So we got a big one tonight.
I thought you were ghosting me, Mr. Big Time.
Never.
I was
would never do that.
I guess I'm not important, but that's okay.
No. I would never do that. You know,
it's been a week. A lot has happened since I left you.
Yeah, we got some Royal Rumble.
Whatever.
Yeah, I know. We got some Royal Rumble to talk. We got some AEW to talk. We got a bunch of stuff to talk. We got Spencer in the chat saying, "Hey, you beautiful people." How you doing, Pluggo?
I'm doing okay. It's been a week. Hanging out. A lot of wrestling to talk about. So, of course, in the spirit, we might as well not waste any more time. He said beautiful people, Spencer. We might as well make this a little bit more beautiful on our screen because it's quarter 1. We got a new budget, baby. We've been blowing that thing every single week of the new year. Sorry, Spencer. But the one, the only, Mr. Phil Lindsey's with us tonight. How are you, my friend? Welcome back. Last time you were here, my shit just crashed.
Yeah, your internet crashed right at the beginning. I remember.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, it's Phil," and then it was just you and JPJ for the intro.
We did a sneaker draft, I believe, and none of us drafted Shane McMahon.
I remember the sneaker draft. I don't remember you crashing us.
Yeah. How we doing, Phil? How are you? Thank you for being here.
I'm good. I was just looking down at my phone because, the trade deadline and just like the All-Star reserves were announced. So that's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Tyrese Halliburton got his first All-Star nomination. Well deserved. Shout out to us in here in Indiana.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
No, he deserves it.
Yeah. He plays. Who got snubbed? Who made it? I didn't see that.
Based off what I've seen, I'm surprised Aaron Gordon didn't make it.
Really?
Did you guys see he was trying to angle his way onto the team? He goes, I'll do the dunk contest, but you got to let me play in the All-Star game.
Yeah, he's like, I'll come back and do the dunk, but I got to be on that team.
Yeah, I'm surprised Aaron Gordon didn't make it. But when you look at some of the other fours that made it, like Lauri Markkanen does deserve to be there. He has year, so he does deserve to be there.
He's got like 23-9 right now, or 25-9, something like that. He's a crazy year.
All right, yeah. Oh, I know they just announced I'm obviously from Massachusetts, so the Celtics coaching staff, Joe Mazzulla is going to be the head coach of, I think, Team Giannis, I think they said.
Boy, not a Celtics fan, but
it's okay. It's okay.
But that Celtics game over the weekend and watching Bron throw that tantrum gave me one of the most entertaining moments of this year so far.
Yeah, I was watching.
I was dying laughing. I was like, he can't be serious right now.
It was unbelievable. Legendary. That was a legendary sports tantrum.
I will just start. He wasn't wrong, but he definitely went out of his
come on.
way.
He's been in the league 15. You can't.
And
come
then
on.
Patrick Beverly,
I don't care who you are.
Seen the camera. He was like, and then
showing the camera.
I mean, look, it was a foul, but the way that I talked about it, because I've watched basketball for a long time, and look, man, you're going to the Garden. You're an LA Laker, and you're playing in the Garden. You can't expect to get those kind of calls, and that's not to say that it's right, but you know the kind of calls you're going to get in the Garden, and you got to come back and you got to compose yourself and finish out the game.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any excuse for that. So, like, when I was seeing guys like Magic going, "Oh, that's a horrible call," and I'm like, Magic knows better than that. Magic's played in the Garden. You know.
And anybody that has ever played basketball in their life knows it's game point. That's essentially game point. It was tied.
He had he had an entire overtime to win that game.
You ain't getting that call.
I mean, and it, like I said, he should have gotten that call. But when I think of the calls that he has gotten over the years on the Chicago Bulls and other teams I rooted for, I'm like, hard to feel sympathetic for you, sir. You've gotten away with other things that you shouldn't have. So, it's not the end of the world. But his tantrum.
Are you dropping $92,000 to watch him break the scoring record?
No.
No, that's what the going rate for that targeted ticket is, $92K.
Yeah, no.
Well,
imagine he doesn't.
Imagine he just goes off and does it the night before, or it doesn't happen.
That's a rest day for him, and he spent 92.
Yeah, I think he's going to, but it's just like, I don't know. I was amused by the whole thing, and just watching how people were acting like, oh, this is just the biggest travesty in sports. I'm like, look, this guy's on a sub 500 team. Even if he wins this game, Boston's still the number 1 team in the conference, and they're still out of the playoffs, regardless. So.
Yeah.
No. I thought it was funny.
No, every game matters, Phil. Come on. That would have been the game that propelled him to the number 1
No,
seed.
it wouldn't have.
No, you're still 3 games out, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think it would have. Oh man, that was enjoyable. Yeah,
that I completely stopped everything I was doing watching Royal Rumble and was watching that, laughing hysterically at it.
Yeah,
that was the second best laugh I had that night, along with that elbow drop from the top from Uncle Howdy.
When he missed by 6 feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was worse, his miss or the missed call at the end of that game? Uncle Howdy by a mile. Ooh.
Well, I will say, he missed pretty bad. Which one that I laughed harder at was probably Uncle Howdy.
It was so bad. Wasn't even close. Wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close. And then the pyro just goes off afterwards. Makes it even funnier.
The worst part is they had, and whoever decided, Kevin Dunn is the king of camera cuts. Like he was like, nope, this is it. This is the shot. It's gonna be
and then they replayed it.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say they showed a replay. It's like, bro, everyone saw him miss by 6 feet. You're showing a replay.
It gave me Jericho off the cage vibes. Where it's like, you didn't have to show that again. We don't need to see the cardboard boxes.
All-time great botch moment. And I'm one of those guys where I feel like sometimes bad wrestling can be entertaining, because when you think about like some of the worst botches and some of the stuff that we've laughed at 10 and 20 years later, like Shockmaster. I feel like sometimes a dud like that is funny. I mean, even the exploding barbed wire death match.
The barbed wire death match.
Sparkler's still funny to me to this day.
Oh man, yeah, that was good stuff. Like it wasn't even close. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, obviously, all in all, how did me and Pluggo did a reaction show right after? But all in all, what did you think? Oh, all right. Well, what was your opinion of the Pitch Black match?
Since we're there,
first and foremost, since we're there, we're talking about the aftermath of it. Was not well received for obvious reasons. But what was your opinion of the Pitch Black match? And then we'll talk more Royal Rumble as a whole after that.
I mean, I feel like it was clearly the low light of the show next to that Hardy performance, whatever the hell that was.
Oh my goodness.
You weren't feeling that?
But
nobody was.
I didn't think the concept of the match was bad. I think the UV lights and a kind of no DQ match isn't a bad idea for a match. It's definitely not the worst of the sponsored matches we've seen. That zombie match was definitely worse in my opinion.
Yeah.
How this came out of that unscathed is still a miracle.
Yeah, but yeah, my issue with it was really, I think this was just a bad initial feud for LA Knight, because I feel like if you're trying to get people interested in LA Knight, this didn't work. Like, I feel like the build of it was fine because LA Knight got to do some good promos, but he didn't get much offense in this match, and he went out of this looking kind of like a dork.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really short match. I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes long. He, like you said, barely got any offense whatsoever.
And glow sticks are not kendo sticks.
It was just kind of some weird like stuff like that. And it is weird because I do feel like the lead up to it, I thought he was performing very well. I thought he was clearly obviously the only one talking all the time. So he was carrying the feud a lot. And I thought he was doing really, really well. And then, like you said, like he just looked like a schmuck. Like it was just like, all right, you really don't matter in the scheme of what we're doing here.
Yeah, I feel like, what do you do with him now? You kind of made him look really silly.
I don't know where you go with him now. You gotta kind of, reestablish him now. When the whole move to make him LA Knight again was to reestablish him. So
yeah,
I don't know, but I thought he was very entertaining leading up to the match, but the match really didn't do anything for him, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, this was not good. I was glad that they didn't drag the match out. It was just shortened to the point. And so after the match was over, I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. But boy, the aftermath of the match was so much worse than the match itself.
They're almost LA Knight is thinking, laying there, going.
Okay. LA Knight at one point moved closer to try to get closer. If you look close enough, you see LA Knight kind of like try to scoot, like, oh God, this is bad, like to get closer.
This isn't exactly apples to apples comparison, but they should do what they did with Dom and just kind of steer into the skid and be like, he missed. Uncle Howard, he missed. I'm fine. He shows up tomorrow on SmackDown.
He
can't sell that. We all saw it. 100,000 people.
No. But see, I think that's the thing that's like both great and bad about Bray. I feel like if you buy into Bray as a character and a spectacle, none of this is gonna change your enjoyment of him. But if you're one of those guys that thinks that he was never good, all of his matches suck, then this was confirmation for you. I am in the camp of, I think Bray is a great character. He's an all-time great wrestling character. He does spectacle better than most. I think that he's willing to take risks. Like that quote from the press conference, I 100% agree with him, where he was saying some people see this as a sport. I want to take risks. I don't want to do what everybody else does. I want to see this as an art form. And it's good to have variety in wrestling. I do agree with that. But, boy, the aftermath of this match was not good.
No.
Yeah, you're taking that Mountain Dew pitch black risk.
Yeah, and it's but I am in that camp as well. Like I am very pro Bray Wyatt. He's different, like you said. He's not like the rest of the show, and I like that. I like the spooky, not when it. I just feel like the problem that goes with Bray sometimes is they make the spooky stuff a little too hokey for me. It's like, hey, he can be spooky and creepy and mess with people's minds, but like at the end of the day, how about he just destroy some people in the middle of the ring? Like that's what I want to see, But some of the stuff they do with him is like a little too over the top, where it's like, all right, this is hokey bullshit. Really, like it doesn't have to be this much. You know what I mean?
And this is his first match back. I think that's the other thing that makes this a little bit. I don't know. This makes this a little bit worrying for some people because he's been back since October, right?
Yes.
So he came back at
Extreme Rules.
Yeah,
Extreme
which was
Rules,
October. So he's been back for a while.
He's been back since October. Didn't have a match till January, and this is the first outing.
Yeah.
And it's like universally panned. Not very optimistic.
Who steps to Bray next after this? I mean, the LA Knight thing's got to be done, I would imagine. Because you can't, again, all jokes aside, from just a strictly like storyline standpoint, you can't have LA Knight show up tomorrow night on SmackDown running his mouth. In theory, who knows what happened to him, right?
Yeah.
No. Well, the report is that he's wrestling Howdy at WrestleMania. So
yeah.
Who the hell is Howdy?
I don't know.
Who is it? Who is unmasking Howdy?
Oh God, keep Rollins far away from.
Yeah, I was gonna say Spencer saying Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell. No, let's not do that, huh?
Far away
we got Big Ben in the house.
We got Big Ben in the house. Always good to see you, Ben. Thank you for popping in
all
here.
That crazy stuff. You massive carrier. You.
So. Yeah,
Seth
it is interesting.
Seth seems to have his hands full at Mania. It
looks like, they're going to go the Logan Paul, Seth Rollins route, which I'm personally okay with. I'm personally okay with that. I know you are a big Seth Rollins fan, Phil. Are you okay with that as well, if that's the direction they go? Do you think that's it's a big spot. Because I was kind of thinking when he eliminated him and they had that stare down in the men's match, I was like, oh, that's a big match for Seth, and I don't know where else he would kind of fit into the early draft. Not really early anymore, but the draft of the WrestleMania card. So, would you be pleased with the Rollins Logan Paul spot on one of the nights in one of the marquee matches?
I think it's a big spot for him, and I think he definitely deserves it. I think that when you look at Raw and who has suffered the most for taking the WWE title off of Raw, I think hands down it's Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it has been a disservice to him that he can't challenge for a world title. And especially because he did not lose to Roman Reigns. He won that match.
Yep.
And he has not gotten a rematch. And I mean, sure, you can build a story around Cody being the guy that beats Roman and Rollins never got his rematch. But at the same time, it does kind of suck that, there is no world title on Raw, and he really has nowhere else to go other than the U.S. title picture. And so when he's not doing that, it's like, oh, well, here's Logan Paul. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's a marquee match, but then what? Like, I mean, to quote, CM Punk, who's going to be at work on Monday? Is Logan Paul going to be still here on Monday? So, I mean, yeah, it's a good match for him, but boy, if he loses that match, then where do you go with him? Like,
It's true.
Yeah, because we just saw Logan Paul. He lost to Roman Reigns, so
you got to give him a win at some point.
You got to give him a big win if you're going to keep him the superstar that they expect him to be. He seems to be. With Rollins, you're right. Like, and I look at this elimination chamber; they're not finished filling the spots yet, but like Rollins stands out night and day against everybody else in it right now. So it's like,
he does it.
He sticks out like a sore thumb in a good way, where it's like he's not supposed to be here. I know he's supposed to help elevate this, but
it's
like
just
he
doesn't belong there.
Yeah, he's above it. He's above that to me. Not in a, you know what I mean. He's just above it to me.
Yeah,
so,
he doesn't belong there. He's excelled at everything they asked him to do for a year. They gave him Edge. He churned out 3 great Edge matches. He churned out 3 Cody Rhodes matches that were incredible. He gave us that great Matt Riddle match. At Clash of the Castle. Everything they've asked him to do, he's knocked it out the park. People were saying this gimmick wasn't going to work. He's now getting the loudest reactions almost every Monday.
Yep.
He should be in a world title picture, man.
I admittedly was one of those, like, I love Seth Rollins, but when he switched, I was like, I don't know if this is the right move for him. But like you said, he's blown it out of the water, and he was like the MVP of pretty much the WWE last year.
I think he was.
He was their best performer, I think. He's like,
and I still give him more props than I think he got for the Cody Rhodes Hell in a Cell match, because you've got to work incredibly safe in that environment and be able to pull off a match that makes Cody with one arm look like Superman.
Yeah. And when we got Spencer saying Rollins will challenge Cody night after WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Says he beats Logan, renews his rivalry with Cody, gives him a chance to win the title. Too many threads there. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Because it seems like they're going to just, if Cody wins, he's going to win both titles. I don't think Cody has any interest in keeping both titles.
I agree.
And I don't know. But that is another headache they created for themselves.
Does he do the Uber babyface thing where he's like, I only wanted the WWE title?
And
vacates one of them?
I hope not.
No. I think if he's defending both titles coming out of Mania and he's like semi-regularly defending both titles, it's okay if he loses one because he's defending both. Like he's doing double the work, It's still not great that your world champion loses a match and then the next day he's like, well, I still got this. But
we've seen it.
If he's defending it a lot, I feel like it's kind of a built-in like, well, he's pulling double duty.
What do you do there, Phil? How would you book him out of this corner if it was you? Because it's a big eyesore. It's a sore spot. Like,
I don't know, because I assumed they were going to try and split the titles before WrestleMania. When it didn't happen, I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do now. Like, now you kind of have to have the next person that beat him for both titles, because that's the end of the story. And I think maybe they were trying to hold out hope if they were going to get The Rock that they can have him main event both nights. I don't know. But now once Cody wins that title, you're setting him up where now he has to lose almost instantly, because you got to fix this problem of having 2 titles unless you merge them. And I don't think they're going to merge them. So
because if you're USA Network, I know like live content is at a premium right now, but we're fighting over the United States title, which whether you put Seth Rollins on it, whoever, it's perceived as the lesser of the titles. So if I'm USA Network, I'm saying, hey, I want a main event title match on this program once in a while. Like, And Roman, so because why is SmackDown getting all the love, or why are we?
Yeah, look, I just did an article for Bleacher Report grading all the divisions since Triple H has taken over, and I had the hardest time sitting there grading the world title picture because I'm like, man, this guy has defended that belt 4 times over the last 6 months, and everybody he's defended him against is SmackDown guys: Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens,
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Lesnar. Yeah, there's.
And for not Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle was in June.
Matt Riddle was
SmackDown guy.
It was on SmackDown.
Yeah, he was on SmackDown when it happened.
But no, I said Kevin Owens, Brock Lesnar, Matt Riddle. Who am I missing? There was another title defense in there. Drew McIntyre.
Logan Paul.
And Logan Paul. Logan Paul's not. He's kind of not on any brand. He's just kind of floating. But that's what I'm saying. Nobody on Raw that is a main eventer has gotten any love in this world title picture. There is no world title picture on Raw. And like I said, I think it's done a disservice to Rollins, but I actually think it's done a huge disservice to Bobby Lashley as well because he hasn't had anywhere to go since Mania. Like, they gave him that U.S. title reign, and it was good, but then what? Like, they had nowhere else for him to go.
Yeah, I was going to go there next because, you know, they're rehashing out the Brock Lesnar stuff because they're like, yeah, what do you do? Like, you have the U.S. title, and that's how it's always been. I mean, as far as since I've been watching wrestling as a kid, like your lesser titles, that's your next step, the next step. And then, so Raw, you're kind of like, all right, that's why Seth Rollins and Austin Theory have gone round and round so many times.
Yeah.
Nothing left for them to do.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think
there's no tag title, so you can't even do something where you're like, let's put a tag team, put 2 stars together.
Yeah, put 2 stars together and have them have a small run. Nope, because the tag titles are on one show too.
And Rollins is like the king of unnecessary tag title reigns. He's had so many random pairings and one tag title. But yeah, and look, I think the Logan Paul match is going to be good.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's gonna be a fun match, but man, I just keep wondering, like, this guy's been doing you solids for a year. When are you gonna reward him?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's been a long time since he's held the world title and got to that level. He's been kind of carrying the show, doing other things. So he's deserving as well. And I feel like once the belts are off Roman, it's pretty fair game again. It's like, okay. I feel, and again, like, I'm very pro Roman. Has it been super long? Of course, yes. But all in all, especially with this current bloodline story, like, it's terrific. Like, I'm a big fan. It's terrific. I think, I'm just a fan of his reign here, but it's bogged down the title scene because you have to be at a certain level or have a certain level of story going into fighting Roman that not everybody is at that level on WWE television. Whereas I feel like once the belts are off Roman, yes, you still need to be a main eventer, but it just opens up the field tremendously,
Yeah, and I think you couldn't ask for a better guy to be the face of your company than Roman. I think Roman has been tremendous. He's been a great champion. But you've got 2 things working against him. He's worked a lesser schedule now. He's working a part-time schedule, essentially. And then you put both titles on him while he's working a part-time schedule. So it's like somebody's got to get something out of this, man.
And then they kind of made that decision like super prematurely. If I remember right, it was like Roman got COVID, was out for like a week. So they changed the day 1 stuff up, gave it to Brock, even though Brock was already on a collision course for Roman. And it was just like, oh man, they just haven't figured it out yet.
Unnecessarily took the title off of Big E.
Yes, amen to that. I would say this though, I guess, like, it's got to be like a Band-Aid situation. Just rip it right off, and you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I think
we're not gonna go the next 50 years with unified titles.
Right. I think people are like, yeah, there's got to be a satisfying way to end it, but I think it's going on so long that I don't think it's going to satisfy everybody. I think you're going to do something that people are not going to like at this point because you just got to fix it at this point.
Yeah. We got Spencer saying the real easy answer is have Sami Zayn win both titles and have him carry until the day he retires.
Man, I would love it if Sami beat him for the Universal title in Montreal. But
that would be. I have been advocating on this program for
a long time. For a long time.
That we all thought it was The Rock, so we're all like, well, like the Sammy story is cool, but it's The Rock. It's The Rock. And then he's not there. He's not coming. So it should be Sammy and Roman at Mania. That's what I thought. That's what I've wanted. So I'm pro Sammy. I think the storyline is an all-timer, but we got Cody. It is happening. We got Sammy at Montreal. Maybe they pull the trigger. I don't know, though. How do you... It's just, again, they screwed themselves because you're lessening Cody's win if he takes an L night 1 or night 2 or I don't know. It's so convoluted. They screwed it up. Way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I feel like more of his story is with Jay now. So I feel like he's going to gun for the tag titles. I feel like now it's kind of just like a way to finish up the Roman stuff to give him that match if it happens in Montreal. But I don't think he's beating him.
No.
Do you think because Jay's now got beef with the bloodline too, though. Or is it because he's family? They're going to give.
Well, Jay's just question.
He's
they're going to go through it. I expect Jay to continue to side with the bloodline when all is said and done here.
He's going to fall back in line. Of course.
Sometimes you get in arguments, you get in disagreements, you don't talk for a few days, and then you figure it out. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what we're probably going to get with Jay.
No, I called this on the Grapsody before Royal Rumble because I said, no, he vouched for him in that trial. So when Sammy turns on him, he's going to look really bad. And he's got to make up for that now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay for his amazing video editing skills, by the way.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
And it's super good.
Yeah. And then you could see in the moment, he was yelling at Sammy. He was like, I called you my brother. I called you my brother. That's what he's saying. I vouch for you. Come on, man. And I think obviously Jay was hurt because of what happened, but I think, like Phil just said, I think a lot of the stuff that was going through Jay's mind is like, my life's going to be hell now.
Well,
like my life's going to be hell. I remember what's that like. I was the first one he messed with. I'm the originator of this Roman. He doesn't want to go back there.
Such great storytelling because there you could see so many different things happening at the time when Sammy is standing behind him with the chair up. You can see Jay hesitant because, man, when all of this happening, Jay could have easily stopped him from doing that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think also Jay is looking at it like, no, we've all been essentially abused by this man for a year.
He's a toxic son of a bitch. This Roman.
He has gaslit us into following him after all this time. So it's kind of like, no, in this moment, I kind of admire you for finally standing up to him because I want to stand up to him, but I can't because I've already sworn my allegiance, so I can't.
The family pressure is real. That's so when I was sitting there watching this, Royal Rumble, I was having a good time. I was on with the Roundtable Pod, and he swings the chair, and I jumped out of my seat. Like, I guess I didn't see it coming. Did you guys see it coming? I'm going to ask both of you, JPJ, Phil, whichever wants to jump in first. But I wasn't expecting it at this point. I thought maybe it would happen Chamber or Mania. Maybe I was like, oh shit.
Well, I've been saying for weeks that he's going to turn on Roman because there was just too many hints that they were leading to, all the way to Kevin Owens in that backstage segment telling them, you know what I would do? I'd turn on him first.
Yeah.
And just a bunch of other things, just how disappointed Sammy was when they came out and interfered in the match. And you could see then he was kind of seeing like, oh, they really are using me. Like, this really isn't what I think it is. And you could just see him having these coming to the light moments every week. And so when he came out alone this week with just Sammy for Royal Rumble, it was just Sammy and Paul Heyman. I knew then, I was like, yeah, he's going to turn on him.
Yeah. It was so well done. They had the flashback of getting hit with the chair by Seth when the Shield broke. It was the same thing, the same fall that Roman took. It was just
Roman.
It was just brilliant. And then Sammy turns around and he looks right at Jay. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. And it was just really, really good stuff.
Jimmy was also very underrated in this.
Yes.
Segment.
That's the
getting upset and going, "What are you doing? Like, I'm your brother. He's not your brother. I am your brother."
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued on what Sammy does after this, because this is clearly, without a doubt, the best work of his career. And I hope they don't just completely cool them off like they do what they have a tendency to do, where it's like, all right, go feud with Chad Gable for a little while. No disrespect to Chad, but there's a definite pecking order here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I expect them to challenge the Usos at WrestleMania for the titles, him and Owens, and I would expect Sammy and KO to win that. And then again, you run into another problem. The same thing with Roman. Do they win both titles? And then do they just separate? Like, it's the same situation on both levels, but that's what I expect, is them to go over at Mania and then them carry the tag division, at least on one of the shows, for a little bit, I would think,
Well, I think they're just going to split those titles. And that was the other hint that I thought that Sammy was going to turn on him, because when he helped him win that tag match on Raw,
he gave the little look.
He gave that little look at the SmackDown title.
Oh, he was loving it. He was I missed this feeling of gold.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then, man, I don't know. It's just been perfect storytelling. It's been really, really good. And, it would be great if Sammy could beat Roman, but I don't think that's in the cards. I actually think they've done a good job with considering how over Sammy has gotten, because there was a lot of talk heading into Rumble, about, well, if Sammy's so over now that if he doesn't win the Rumble, people are going to, it's going to be a 2016 2014 Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, situation. But I think on both ends, Cody came out at number 30. Cody was super over. And when Cody won the Rumble, he got a good reception. I think on Raw, Cody came out and he was looking like he wasn't missing a beat. So I think they maneuvered the story on both ends, that like people are cool with Cody being the guy.
I think
and people are also cool with
spot he could have came out at.
Yeah. I think you could have brought him in a little sooner.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to avoid that Rey Mysterio booing letdown spot, and you bring Cody in at 25, and then
I never bought that they were going to boo him. I think I think internet fans want us to believe that Sammy is more of the option than Cody was, but I feel like if you've been watching the show for the last month, they've been basically telling you Cody's the guy. They've been airing the vignettes every week. They've been preparing us for the return.
Did you know Cody is hurt?
Yeah, like I didn't buy at any point that Sammy was going to win the Rumble. I think it would have been a cool moment for Sammy, but I just never bought it. And I think it's an interesting choice to not put Sammy in the Rumble, especially how hot he was and the reaction he would have gotten once he entered the Rumble. But then at the same time, once he enters the Rumble, I think most people would have rooted for him to win. Yeah. So probably was a smart idea to just keep him out and make it Cody's night. And I think Cody was the right choice.
Yeah, I don't think there was any way they kind of sliced this thing up, whether it's Cody, whether it's Sammy. I don't think you can go wrong, which is nice to have these viable options. So the Royal Rumble overall, since we're in there, the men's one kicked off the show, which I think was super unique. I don't know if that's ever happened that I can remember.
So, kicking off the show? I know the men's Rumble has gone first of the two before, but I don't know if it's like kicked off the show before. But
it was
a lot of people didn't seem to. There was, again, I enjoyed the men's Rumble. I thought it was fine. I thought the women's Rumble was significantly better, in my opinion. But I liked the men's Rumble. But the men's Rumble was getting. Not everybody liked it. But there was a lack of surprises. There weren't a ton. But I thought that was fine for the stories that they told in the Rumble. What was your overall opinion of the men's Rumble? Were you one of the people that enjoyed it? Were you kind of like, it was okay? Like, where were you at when it came to the men's Rumble as a whole?
I enjoyed it. I think there were low periods in it. There were parts that did not work. Like, poor Cove took that took that bump, and I was like, man, I hope he's okay. Yeah,
that was nasty.
And some of those other bumps, like Santos getting tossed out by Brock, I was like, oh my god, the way his head hit the apron on the way out, I was like, I hope he's okay. But I feel like the once it got down to the last 5 or 6 competitors, I feel like it got really good. particularly when Cody got in, I feel like it really picked up because then you could pick up the threads between him and Rollins. And I think the way they handled the stuff with him and Rollins was really good. Them teaming up momentarily to get Gunther out of here. And Gunther was the MVP of this match.
Oh, my God, yeah.
He was incredible throughout the entire match. There was no point in this match where he wasn't present and he didn't seem like a threat.
Yep.
I feel like, honestly, he's probably the best NXT call-up in recent memory. He's been amazing. He's been a great champion. And, man, he was great as the Iron Man in this match. For a minute, I was like, this guy looks like he can win.
That's what I thought, too. I was like, oh, is he going to go the distance? Coming at 170 minutes he was in that match for over 70 minutes. You said, that is crazy.
And we'll talk about the women's one in a minute, but if you just, like Gunther and Rhea like coming in at 1 and they were, like you said, present. That doesn't usually happen. Like when Edge won from the one spot, he kind of was laying off to the side a lot. And like, I don't want to sit milking it because obviously what wrestlers do is hell of impressive. But like, he was taking bumps. He was in these spots. Like Gunther just
and he had that moment that he had with Lesnar, the stare down with Lesnar was.
Give me that.
That was great.
Boy, I think it was Corey Graves that's like, sign me up, or he said something like that. I was like, yep. Yes, anytime you want to do that, I'm okay with that.
I heard Lesnar broke a referee's foot.
Well, apparently he wasn't supposed to.
He was supposed to toss that.
So that's the report. Yeah, that's the report. Is he was supposed to be angry, but he was like he took it to a level that was not planned. Apparently,
yikes.
And I did pop for that when Lashley threw Lesnar out so quick. I was like, holy shit. Like,
I thought that was a great moment.
My son is a huge Bobby Lashley fan, and he's like, Bobby Lashley is awesome. And I was like, yeah, he's probably about to get tossed out of here by Lesnar, but no, they went with Bobby doing it. And I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Like you said, now he's got nothing to do but challenge for the United States title. Poor Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I think they're probably running him versus Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Is in the house. Our lawyer, what's good, brother?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of more surprises and more legends, or do you like when they stick to the meat of the roster, Phil?
I mean, it depends on how they use the legends, how they use the surprises. I think that it would have been nice to get more surprises. I was sitting there the whole time thinking, is Cena going to show up? Because it seemed like that would have been a good spot to throw Cena back in the mix. Theory has been mocking this guy every week, so I have to assume he's going to show up at some point. But I wasn't thrown off by the surprises. I would have liked more of them. I thought Edge wasn't really a surprise. Most of us expected Edge. I think the only real surprise was Logan Paul. I don't think anybody expected him to be ready in time. And I mean, I thought he did well. I thought that spot with Ricochet was fantastic.
Crazy. Yeah, really.
So I thought it was a good Rumble. I don't think it's the best Rumble I've ever seen, but it was miles away better than the Rumble last year.
I was going to say compared to last year, it was And I you know, the fact that Sheamus and Gunther were 1 and 2, calling back to that match was perfect. And you mentioned obviously Gunther and Rhea being the respective number 1 entrants went along. Both the 1 and 2 entrants in both Rumbles went almost the complete distance of both Rumbles. So they had those long performances from the early numbers.
Unlike Booker T, who Spencer mentions as the perfect spot.
Oh, that was our other surprise. I forgot.
Get in, get your perfect. Shit, get out.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, get in, get your stuff in, and get out, man. That's what it is. That's what the legendary Rumble is. And he was the legend spot. And yeah, it was him and Logan Paul really that were the only two. Like, oh, hey, cool, all right.
Yeah, but I thought they booked the Final Four perfectly. Like I thought the way that they put Logan in there and they gave you just enough thought. Like, man, can Logan win this? Gunther's been in here the whole time. He's got a real case to win it. Rollins has got a chance to win it, and then Cody was number 30, so you could believe all 4 of those guys could win.
I was really feeling Dom, and like as the match was progressing, I was like, he's making this Final Four. Like, listen, say what you will, like he played that Rumble pretty damn well. Like he did. Every time I thought he was going to get tossed out, he stayed in the damn thing.
All that training from Rhea helped.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
I was like, they're gonna, because they used to kind of throw a wild card in that like 4th spot, or it's like, what are you doing here? And I thought it was going to be Dom, and they didn't do it. And like you said, I thought they gave us 4 very viable options at the end where you knew it was going to be Cody. If you're anybody that pays attention to this as much as we do, you knew like, all right, it's Cody or nothing. Yeah. But if you're like a casual fan who's just tuning in for the Rumble, which a lot of casuals watch the Rumble, you just go, who are we rooting for here?
I thought the story they told in those final minutes was really good because you had the Cody Rollins stuff where they were trying to team up to get Gunther out, trying to one up each other by both hitting him with pedigree was great. And then right when Cody looked like he was gonna lose to Rollins, finally he's beat this guy 3 times in a row. Rollins is setting him up for that pedigree. Logan Paul tosses him out of the ring and takes his moment. I thought that was booked perfectly. It's a great way to get to the Logan match. It's a great way to keep Seth Rollins hot. He was one of the final members thrown out, and it's a great way to keep him angry and motivated.
Yeah, 100%. And then Cody and Gunther basically had like another 10-minute match when it was down to just the two of them, which I thought was really good. And at no point, even though we all knew Gunther had been in at 70 minutes at that point, he was as viable as a winner as Cody. Like either way, the whole time I'm like, either one of these guys could win. Either one, the whole time.
Walter could have done that. Old school Walter.
Gunther. I mean, look at he's gotten into fantastic shape.
I saw a lot of detractors online, maybe people that just hate on wrestling to hate on wrestling, were like, how is Cody having trouble with a guy that's been in the match for 65 minutes? You have to understand, like, Gunther is peak physical condition. He's a machine. He's an unstoppable force. And Cody's coming back his first match after being off for 6 months. They played that story up. Like if Cody would have just came in and dumped Gunther out, I don't think we would have got that moment. Like we still would have got the pop, but it wouldn't have felt as good. You would have been like, very predictable. Instead, you were like, ooh, maybe Gunther gets it done here. Like,
but two things that I think that kind of throws that out is that Gunther's entire gimmick is that he's a no-frills wrestler. He sticks to the spots. He's not going to overexhaust himself. He's just going to do what he needs to do to stay a threat. He's not going to overexhaust himself. So, of course, he was still viable by the end of the match. And also, again, he is a straightforward guy going against a wrestler who came in with a fog machine, pyro, and like the biggest interest you can get. And, of course, Gunther is like, get this guy out of here. He's exactly what I'm against. He's a showman. And he made fun of his name change while he was in AEW.
He did. Yep. Sure did. Sure
What's
did.
up, Hab guy? Welcome to the chat, brother.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot about that. What is it? What did he call him?
Gunther McGillicuddy.
Yeah, Gunther McGillicuddy. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot about that too.
He brought it up in a press conference.
This is why we brought Phil in here, because we forget about things.
But he mentioned it during the press conference because he was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have made fun of his name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That. All right. Yes. What do you think about now? The press conferences have become kind of like, obviously we have more of the card to talk about, but the press conferences have become kind of like
a staple now of big events.
Of the big events at least. And they're kind of like it's like a continuation of the show to an extent. Like they're definitely in character, leaning in character, stuff like that. Have you liked what we've seen? I obviously love SRS doing the Fightful Select plug on this one too, which was funny. But have you enjoyed what we've seen of this like new presentation of like the press conferences after the big shows here?
Yeah, I liked when AEW started doing it. I think it added, it added a new wrinkle to pay-per-views. It made the pay-per-views feel like a bigger deal, and it made it feel more newsworthy afterwards. And of course, as a guy that does podcasting and does media stuff, it's a good opportunity to, ask questions or do something after the show. So I think it's great. I think the one thing I think is funny about WWE's version is that in typical WWE fashion, it's overproduced. So you have to have camera cuts in it. You got to cut to the outside. You got to have the wrestlers coming in to answer questions with their entrance music. Like one of the funniest moments from the entire press conference was Bray coming in and still having the glow in the dark stuff on, and they cut the lights off for him. I was like, but it's a press conference. He just come in and ask a question.
Yeah.
As a sports guy, I love the post scrum. So like I've always wanted wrestling to have that feel. Shout out for the raid. Thank you. Friends.
CFG Streams giving us that raid right here. We appreciate that, my friends. Thank you for the raid there. We got our buddy Reese popping in saying raid. So
hanging out with Phil talking Royal Rumble. And
we're talking some Rumble.
drop a question, drop a comment. We'll read it on air as long as you keep it classy. Phil's a gentleman.
Yeah, keep it tight.
Yeah, keep it tight. Keep it respectful.
That's right. But yeah, I love that. I love that vibe. I love that feeling because again, like you said, you get a little extra out of it. And of course, we all know the infamous brawl out was a big one. So now it's always in the back of my mind whether I want it to be or not. That something's gonna
such
pop
a great
off
night,
here.
man.
Yeah, what a wild time.
Such a great night.
You were there.
I sometimes think about it like I was in the room while this was happening. Like,
is your face just? Are you laughing? Are you just going to see like? Are you mortified for? Are you like, is this real? Like, how do you? You're in the room. How? Tell me, like, what's going on?
No, I was instantly stunned at several points because, first of all, he comes in and he's eating the muffins, and I'm like, okay, and he opens the thing with, "Hey, who here considers himself a journalist?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a trap." I was looking around to see who's going to answer.
Is anybody
yes.
going to raise their hand? Who's somebody going to say yes?
And I'm just like you're
guy?
not gonna catch me with that Chicago-made punk. You're not gonna. You're
not fooling me, buddy.
You're not fooling me. But then he goes on this whole tirade, and I don't know if you guys remember. I was one of the first people to ask a question, so I'm sitting there holding the mic while he's going on this tirade, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can ask this question. Like, what do you like? How do you follow up all of that? Like, I don't know if this guy's gonna bite my head off when I try and answer a question or what's going on. So like I put the mic to my mouth and I go to talk and he's like, yeah, speak up. And I was like, oh yeah. So, but I'm just like the whole time I was sitting there looking like, where are you going with this? And like, I'm like, Tony, cut this off.
Yeah, that was my thing. Bro, you got to step in. Like, I understand. I
was like, oh shit.
You got to cut this off at some point. Like, he's basically degrading you in front of everyone. Like he's saying that the company's run like you got to cut him off.
Just
you got to like. I was
home.
like, oh, I was so uncomfortable for Tony Khan.
Yes,
I was like, oh my god, like I can't imagine he's just sitting there like.
It felt like in school, like if you're in school and like your friend is getting scolded by the teacher in front of the whole classroom, and you're just like,
you're just sitting there like, oh,
there's like nothing I can do about this.
Tommy's getting
well,
you know.
But see, I don't think he was scolding Tony, but I think the thing that made it look bad is that you are scolding your colleagues and you are scolding people that Tony works with, and you know whether Tony agrees or not. He should have cut that off because you don't want anybody in the locker room to believe that you agree with him.
Correct.
Because you're not shutting any of this down. And so, yeah, I was just sitting there the whole time like, this is like, wow. Like, especially when he's like, yeah, those two punks from Reseda. I was like,
who could that
here
be?
we go. Yeah, I was like, here we go.
Yeah. That and us sitting there during Swerve and Keith's spot, and like the security guard just goes darting out of the room. I was like,
now could you hear stuff going on, or was it you just saw like the security and stuff like that? Because
we couldn't hear it, but of course I saw the security guard dart out, and then I was sitting there, and Will is sitting next to me, and he turns to me with Notes app on his phone that just says they're fighting.
Wow, jeez, Louise, man, what that must have been surreal to be a part of, just to be there because the event itself was great, was really good, and then it must have been surreal.
What a wild night. I think the thing that people kind of forget about is Punk and Mox was actually a good match. It was
very good. Yeah,
and I feel like it has gotten forgotten in all of this because
I think the whole night has been. I think I said that on the Beards after All Out.
So like a couple days later,
it completely derailed the whole night. Like it was a good pay-per-view overall, but if you ask anybody about, hey, so what happened at All Out in Chicago, Punk press conference.
Well, I mean, I would say the things that it hurt the most is the main event and the MJF stuff. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the Acclaimed clearly had their moment. I feel like the Acclaimed having kind of like their coming out party at that pay-per-view was still one of the top highlights from that show.
Yep. I would agree.
Reese asked Uncle Howdy needs a press conference.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Reese is saying the people need an Uncle Howdy press conference. Yeah, to explain what he was looking at when he decided to jump.
We kind of went on a side quest there, but we got Reese with a question here too. It says, Phil, did he realize he was witnessing such a significant part of wrestling history at the time, or did that just become like apparent afterwards? The Punk stuff.
I definitely did not realize it in the moment, because at the time I was just sitting there like stunned, like this is really happening. Somebody sent me a clip, and I completely forgot, because again, I completely forgot what I asked him afterwards. I completely forgot all of this, but I forgot he did the Danhausen story afterwards, and I'm just like, that's right, I did ask him that question. He did give me the Danhausen quote. It is wild to think about though, because I am a Punk fan. I've listened to the Art of Wrestling podcast episodes with him on it tons of times. That makes the Colt stuff even more awkward, because like for a long time that was my introduction to Colt Cabana, was that podcast. And so like it's still wild to me that they're not friends. Like it just doesn't,
very close.
It's just
super close.
I mean, like when you consider everything that podcast, their time with Ring of Honor, it's just still wild they're not friends.
And they rode the Indies together too. Like there was that whole documentary he did. He was like, we rode up and down the coast. Everybody wanted Colt and Punk.
Yeah, it's crazy. So just thinking about that, and just thinking about how much, I could quote parts of that episode of Art of Wrestling, because I've watched it that many times. Like the whole bit where he's just like, Phil, did you know that women are gonna fight in a cage for UFC? Somebody could die. Like his Vince McMahon impression throughout the entire episode is hilarious to me. But so I've watched this tons of times, and just like thinking like I'm a part of like the second biggest candid Punk moment.
Yeah, it's true.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's just.
Well, at least I was in the room for it. I don't want to say I was a part of it, but I was. Yeah,
you were present. You were present for it, which is wild.
You're no offense, Phil, because we love you, but you're the guy that they fast forwarded over to get to the like serious shit. Because you're gonna turn on the presser. You're the first question. We're like, this guy's question was good, but this Houseman.
I gotta see this tirade.
It's crazy, and I've had people that are like, yeah, I felt like you for a brief second humanized him and turned the ship, because he gave you such a funny answer, but then he went right back
into chaos afterwards. Yeah, right back into burning the place down.
It's like half big. It's like F you.
You're all right, man.
We're going. F you. I'm tired. I work with children. I'm out.
Yeah. Oh man.
What a night, man.
What a time.
That was wow. But again, I've seen people that are like, he could be done, and I'm just like, man, if he's done, I've gotten to see the full gamut of this.
It's true. That is true.
I was there for the debut,
for the return. Yeah.
I was there for both his title wins. I was there for the first MJF promo, and I was there for the meltdown. I was there for the entire full circle.
That's incredible. I think we're gonna see him. I don't think he's done. I think he's gonna come back.
I think he'll wait again.
No part of him. Seth Rollins said, "Get out of here, Phil."
He's working.
Yeah.
He said he was shooting though.
Okay. He's working.
He was like,
he's working.
Get out of here. The guy that asked him happened to be the guy that asked the question at the Brawl Out.
Yeah, the same guy that so happened to talk to CM Punk's party about the dog stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too, because Rollins could have been shooting, and he may very well not like the guy, but look how he was dressed, look how the tone he was using, everything about it was funny. And I'm like, if you want me to believe, if CM Punk showed up there next month, that Rollins would not want to work this guy.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. That 100%. Would be one of the biggest matches of his career.
Money.
Triple H goes to Seth tomorrow and goes, "Hey, we're getting Punk. You want to fight him at Mania?" Rollins gonna be like, "No, I don't like him. Absolutely not."
No, he the guy just
yes.
No, Rollins is a smart businessman too. Like, he had the Riddle stuff, and they figured it out. So I think he'll get past it for CM Punk. If hey, Mania, you and Punk, night 2 main event. I think he's like, okay, I'm over it.
Yeah, I think
bring it on.
I think if you could do business and they thought he could come in, they do it. Like, to me, Roman versus Punk could be the biggest match of this era if they got it to work.
Yeah.
Like, just considering how Punk left and just considering the animosity between those two guys, no, it'd be one of the biggest wrestling matches of this decade.
Yeah. That would be something. That would be something.
So I guess to tie that all together, if you had to put a number on it percentage-wise, do you think we see CM Punk in a wrestling ring again? Because I'm a big Punk supporter too. I thought maybe he shows up at the Rumble. Who knows? I always do.
I didn't see a Rumble appearing.
I always do. It's a sickness. It's a disease. For the last 7 years, every time
that buzzer goes off, you're like, CM
God,
Punk.
I'm like,
Here it comes, CM Punk.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the percentage on? Do we see him wrestle again?
Yeah, just anywhere, honestly, because at this
point, I'm around 85%. I think he's gonna wrestle again. I don't know where, but I do think he will wrestle again. And if you asked me back in September, would it be an AEW? I would have said absolutely not. Now it's maybe
a little different, right? Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah. I just feel like the way that CM Punk's kind of hitting at some stuff on social media and listen, I understand there's going to be animosity and they might not like each other, but I would think I know Tony Khan likes money. I know CM Punk likes money. And I would think at the end of the day, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, if you can tell me that at Double or Nothing or All Out next year, you're going to give me the Elite against FTR and CM Punk, that's the match. That is one of the biggest matches you can have in your AEW chamber is if you can get everyone to be kumbaya and do that. That is a match that could main event a pay-per-view and it would sell out an arena. And you got to do business. You got to do business sometimes.
I got to imagine Tony Khan is somewhere with like the little conscious popping up on both shoulders, and the angel on his shoulder is somebody that's an exec in a company like, we can't do business with this guy again. You saw what this was. This was a disaster. And then Punk pops up as the devil on his second shoulder, but think of the money. Think of the draw. I still have MJF stuff I haven't finished.
That's true. They got to finish that story too.
And I don't know.
I think if you can make
a couple slow AEW ratings.
I just think if you can make it work, but the most important thing is Tony Khan needs to know from that locker room that they're okay with it. However, you have to get there to an extent and smooth it, whatever.
But I don't think you're ever going to 100% be there.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't think that everybody in the locker room wanted him there when he got there. So I don't think you're ever going to get everybody universally to like the guy. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And then welcome to the chat, Jimmy James there, CDN saying Punk's not one to hold grudges. Oh wait, Lawrence saying he always
thinks it's Steve Blackman. I think Steve Blackman would be one of those great legendary. Like if he was there, like, oh shit, Steve Blackman. Oh yeah, I like Steve.
Can we get to the bottom of that? What is Steve Blackman doing right now?
I like to assume that he's somewhere with like a gnarly beard, like kicking down trees with his bare foot.
Exactly. If we heard that music,
he's got a very successful lumber company.
Probably just doing something. So to bring it back to the Rumble, obviously, we'll talk about the women's Rumble now.
Wait, is that real? Sorry. What? Before we talk women's Rumble,
no, is this true?
Is he a bounty hunter? Like I'd watch that.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Listen, if I'm a criminal and Steve Blackman is coming after me,
that's not who you want to see coming after you.
Take me to jail.
And then Spencer says, "Let us not forget Steve Blackman's theme was a
goddamn."
It was.
I
will never forget the Shane McMahon match where Shane fell from the. That was just.
Shane comes out at the next pay-per-view and blames him for the Austin stuff. I'm like, listen, we've seen Steve Blackman in action. He don't have to hit you with a car. This guy, nickname is the living weapon. Like we don't need him. Yeah. He doesn't need a car.
Oh, here it is. He says Blackman bail bonds. Google it, and then Spencer says, "Yo, so take a quick Google search for what it's worth." But by all accounts, he is a bounty hunter. Wow.
Well, there goes my evening.
You got Steve Blackman chasing you down with those glowing sticks would be terrifying. It would. You know you're in trouble.
The thing is, though, if Steve Blackman was in a pitch black match, he wouldn't need those glow sticks. He would just kick the shit out of Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, it would have been quick. It would have been quick.
Anyway.
So on the women's side of the Rumble, I thought this Rumble was overall the better of the two. Rhea Ripley enters number one. Rhea Ripley ends up winning, going the distance. First time that's happened in Women's Royal Rumble history. First time Oh no, Edge was number one. Pluggo, I think you told me that. I thought I
Edge
forgot about
number
Edge
one on
being
the
one. I was like,
COVID
that hasn't
year.
happened in a while, right? Edge did it like 2 years ago. Rhea and Liv were 1 and 2, and they ended up being the last two in the Rumble match, which was pretty cool. That hadn't been done since Shawn Michaels and the Bulldog in 95. But I thought throughout this, like, it was a good mix. We saw some NXT talent. We saw Roxanne, the NXT Women's Champion, in here. We saw Zoe Stark. We saw Doudrop return as Piper Niven, which was nice to see. I thought she did a pretty good performance in the Rumble as well. My favorite moment of the Rumble, the returning Asuka with the new look and the new paint. And I loved what they did on Raw with her kind of looking creepy in the back there too for that little segment as well. I thought both Rumble choices were the right choices. I thought Cody and Rhea were the choices. I did not expect Rhea to be number one and go the distance, but I liked it even more. And then we found out on Raw that she decided to pick Charlotte Flair as her choice at WrestleMania. So what'd you think about the Women's Rumble, Rhea winning? And do you like the choice of Charlotte? Or I know a lot of people, myself included, would have very much enjoyed a Rhea Bianca match as well. So how'd you feel about the Rumble in general and where Rhea's going with her choice at WrestleMania?
I thought the Women's Rumble was good. I thought that I do think it was the better of the two Rumbles. I think they did something good here with the surprises because it's not like they had a lot of these returning legends, but they did give us surprises that meant something if you've been watching the show. Like I thought the Piper return was a highlight because most of us have wanted her to get her real name back. And I thought that was a great highlight for this show. And then she had a good performance. I thought the Chelsea Green surprise was good, even though her exit was kind of odd. But it was a good surprise. I thought the Nia Jax surprise was good, even though they botched it.
Yeah, they botched it, right? Yeah, botched it.
But I also thought the in-ring action was great because, I mean, it'd be one thing if you bring Asuka back and she has this big theatric entrance. And I thought the way they built to this was really good with the Rhea stuff of Rhea beating her and then her realizing, like, no, I'm not taken seriously anymore. I need to go back to Japan and find myself. And she did. She comes back, and I posted that clip of her doing that excellent reversal into that German suplex. That was just like, just give this woman the moon. Yeah. Book her to be the next champion. She's just so good. And she's been highly underutilized, in my opinion. Yeah. And so I was very excited to see her back. I'm very excited to see her change of direction. And I thought Rhea was the right winner. I think Rhea going the distance and getting that accomplishment of starting at number one and avenging her Royal Rumble loss to Bianca was smart. I thought the finish was very good. I thought because she teased it in the YouTube clip of her training with Dom, of saying that this year I don't care about making friends. If I have the chance and I'm sitting on an apron, I'm not going to let anybody get one up on me. And she could have very easily helped Liv while she was blinded. Instead, she eliminated her. And I thought that was a great way to pay off that story. I thought having Asuka narrowly lose was smart as well. I thought it was really good. And as for who she's challenging, I had been expecting her to challenge Bianca for all this time because it feeds into the story for Money in the Bank. She didn't get the match there. And, of course, she was runner-up to her.
At the Rumble a couple years ago.
Yeah. And so I thought that made perfect sense. But at the same time, Charlotte did hand her her most humiliating loss on the main roster. She completely derailed her run that year. And she never really recovered from that. So it made sense that she would be harboring it for all this time. Yeah. And she did not get that WrestleMania moment in front of a live crowd because that was during COVID. So it makes sense for her to want to challenge her in front of a live crowd. And SmackDown really, really needs her. SmackDown's women's division is lacking. So, I mean, I was campaigning for Asuka to get her WrestleMania rematch and win this time around, but I'm fine with this as well.
Do we think... I mean, Asuka is who I think should go against Bianca now. I think that's...
Yeah, I think she's going to win the Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah, I think she is too. And then I think it's this kind of darker, evil Asuka going against Bianca. I would not be surprised if Asuka even maybe beat Bianca at WrestleMania to get the title.
Bianca's just going up against all this evil.
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
All this evil. Alexa Bliss.
You know? That's what we'll do.
I did enjoy it. Like, again, and I said it when we talked Gunther. Apparently Spencer sent us the trailer for the Steve Blackman show. Noob City, what's
is that
up?
what he said?
Yeah, he said he sent it in a Slack.
And he said, and Phil, you best believe I'll be in your DMs with the same thing. Yeah, he's sending us the trailer for Steve Blackman's show, apparently.
Rhea, she took we all kind of gloss over it too. Like, I forgot about it based on how the night kind of went, but she took that spear from Beth Phoenix, which I thought
earlier on.
I thought Beth Phoenix was coming out in this Rumble because she came out in gear ready to go, gave Rhea the spear, and then
didn't she get busted open at some point during this match?
Yeah, she got busted open. She took
in her nose. Yeah, Rhea, she took a beating.
Bumps. Like, there were times where I was like, "Oh God, what are you doing?" And she just she just showed out for everybody. She ran the gauntlet. She was bleeding. She won the damn thing. Like, again, I was a big proponent of Bianca and Rhea. I think that would be the bigger match, bigger deal. But like you said, SmackDown needs an injection of something right now, and it looks like Bayley and Becky Lynch are going to be tied up. I don't know if Ronda gets involved somewhere. It's Mania season.
It is wild that Ronda is not on TV at all anymore.
Yeah,
like, she just completely. She was champion a month ago?
I was going to say a month ago.
Completely off TV now.
Done.
It's wild.
Yeah. Do we think
they got to be? I mean, it's hard to repackage Ronda Rousey, right? Because she's Ronda Rousey, but they got to tweak it. They tried to do the come back as a face, but nobody was having it. Then they got to get her some direction and maybe some more training because it's kind of a rough run.
There was clearly something missing this time around because her first year was a really, really good first year. There were people saying it was one of the better rookie years maybe ever, and she was early on, she was in some protected spots with some good people, but like she had a really good, I think this is kind of right. Where it says Ronda was no longer felt like a special event. She was wrestling every week on television and stuff like that. Ronda and Shayna challenging for the women's tag titles at Mania. That's okay. I feel like that would be cool.
She has like Michael Carter Williams syndrome from basketball fans. She had a good wins rookie of the year, and then just completely falls off.
See you later.
Wow.
Hopefully you're not a Michael Carter Williams fan, Phil.
I mean, look, he did have that brief showing here in Chicago, and he tried to wear number 1, and fans were like, "No, that's Derek's number. We're not going for that. Get out of here." But yeah. I don't know. I feel like part of it is that she just doesn't seem like she's having as much fun. I think the thing that we enjoyed about her the first time around is that she seemed like she was down to do whatever. She seemed like she was excited, and it just doesn't feel the same way. Even when she came back at the Rumble, she just doesn't feel like motivated. And I think it was a mistake to bring her back as a face.
I agree.
Because she just works better as a heel. And so when you try to make her a heel again later, you're kind of trying to fix the issue that started the year. And I kind of feel like it was too late. And I don't know. I think that she just kind of lost something throughout the year. I think Liv was fine as champion, but that feud didn't really give her anything. That shot match was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even talk about that. Liv was great in this Rumble. I think Liv being the number 2 spot and lasting as long as she did, I think that was great.
It was.
But yeah, Ronda's just, I don't know, man. I don't know what they do with her when she comes back, but because I thought for a while they were going to go with the Becky match, and
that's what I thought. I was like, it's going to be
not
Ronda
happening.
and Becky. No, and now I think let's just say.
There's time to get there, but it would take a lot.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So
happening.
let's say that Asuka does win the chamber match, and that's the match for Bianca at WrestleMania or whatnot. Like, what does Becky do at WrestleMania? And that's why in the back of my mind it was like, can they bring Ronda back quickly and maybe attack Becky? I don't know, do something that would set up that match. It clearly isn't going to have the gravitas it would have if they would have done it when it was hot. WrestleMania 35, and it should have, whatever. And they missed the opportunity to do it last year because they wanted to do Ronda and Charlotte for whatever reason. She should have just come back and not been in the Rumble and just been like, I want Becky. I have unfinished business with Becky. I'm Ronda effing Rousey. I want to fight Becky Lynch. That's just what should have happened. But they threw her in the Rumble and whatever, it happened. Where do we see Becky fitting in over the next 8 weeks until we get to like where is she If she's not in either one of the title pictures, I feel like she is someone who deserves a marquee match still. Where is that marquee match? Like where she fit in here?
I don't know, because I thought it was Ronda for so long.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure. But I mean, you can do something with Becky. You can figure this out. I just don't know what it is yet.
You could
I
run
don't know.
back Bailey and Becky.
I mean, you could have that keep going, but I was very upset that they cut that cage match out of that Raw.
Yeah,
that was stupid. What were they doing?
That was stupid. The angle was stupid. It just, that was dumb. I mean, she's been angling for a match for the longest with Beth. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
That'd be dope. I'd be down with that.
Yeah, I don't know, but either way, I think if Rhea, Charlotte, Bianca, Asuka, I think those are two really good matches that we're going to have probably at Mania for the respective titles. Obviously, I know we talked a little bit about the Bloodline story that ended the show. I thought the match with Owens and Reigns was fine. I thought it was pretty good, but it was really the story afterwards is what that was the juice.
That spot, what was going on though on the stairs.
On the stairs, that was nasty looking. I was wincing. I was like, oh no.
We got a lot of comments pumping in about this.
We do.
Affair,
Ronda's a draw. She is apparently. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Ronda either time, but 2018 was way better than 2022.
Yeah,
having Ronda be face for too long and then trying to turn her heel comes off whiny to me. We have someone saying they would like to see a conclusion between Becky and Bailey. Someone saying Becky versus Nia at Mania to avenge the broken face.
That would be interesting. I don't know if that's big enough.
Or to get another one.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah, no. I don't know if that's big enough for a WrestleMania match, but that is an interesting story. I feel like it's a shame that the way that Ronda entered in 2018 and she interrupted the ending of the Women's Royal Rumble that year. I thought it was a shame that Asuka never got a match with Ronda.
Yeah.
Like that, I felt like they were long overdue that, and it just never happened. But I feel like they handled Asuka's Royal Rumble win very poorly.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I 100% agree. We got Lawrence saying, again, having Ronda and Shayna go for the tag titles. Hab guy saying Ronda has said on streams that she wants to go for the tag titles. Yeah, we got Spencer saying, not sure how you get there, but Becky versus Raquel?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's saying that's sort of the only obvious answer for me, but yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they're inserting Becky into the SmackDown Women's Championship match because she has been having those stare downs with Rhea.
Yeah, that is true. They have been kind of teasing that a little bit here or there.
So maybe they're gonna make that a 3-way. I don't know. Because I mean, she does have an argument because for her case, she could say that the SmackDown Women's Championship hasn't mattered as much since she left the brand. She is the most well-known SmackDown Women's Champion. And if anybody can get that brand back on track, it's her.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Maybe they make that a triple threat.
I would not be opposed.
Maybe Aaliyah gets in the mix. No, I'm just
oh no! All right.
I did see on TikTok today that Selena Vega she made some TikTok about basically saying all these women are getting 4 title shots and she hasn't gotten one yet. So maybe Selena Vega gets her moment. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
We got Spencer saying, "What about Becky and Raquel?"
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel like I expected Raquel to be in the final. Like, I expected Raquel to be, you know how you said earlier with the men's rumble, there's always one that sneaks in there that you're like, oh, you're new, or that I expected Raquel to be the one that might have snuck in there and been the runner-up or something like that. Yeah, I feel like Zelina hasn't wrestled enough since she's been back a ton. You know what I mean? But either way, that whole group I love, but that's a separate story. Santos, incredible. All right, since we're basically done with the Rumble talk, let's slide over to a little Dynamite from last night, AEW talk before we get out of here. But man, I'll tell you what, Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley.
That might have been the most physical 2 hours.
I'll tell you what,
wrestling I've seen in a while on TV.
I think Taz said it at the end where he was like, I could watch these guys fight every week, and I agree. They were fighting for 10 minutes before the match even started, just fighting all over the arena, throwing chairs at each other, getting suplexed on chairs. And then, like Pluggo said, they just had a violent contest. And then even after the match, which I was kind of shocked that Moxley won, to be honest. I'm not shocked that Jon Moxley won a match. He's Jon Moxley, for crying out loud. But I thought Hangman was going to get back-to-back, like win-win, and kind of.
I thought Mox was going to go on vacation finally.
Talking about it for months.
Never.
It's not happening.
Never.
Not going.
Never going on vacation.
Poor Renee is like, we booked this damn thing. Why aren't we going? Sitting here
well, now she's working every
now
week,
she's
so.
she was like, you know what? I'm just going to come to work with you.
Yeah,
so if we can't go somewhere, I'll just come with you.
We'll just vacation in Ohio.
Yeah. So it looks like, at least from what happened after the match, that they're going to somewhat continue this Hangman Mox thing, or at least maybe they'll down the line or something like that. But I thought, like Pluggo said, this match was just a spectacular opening to the show last night. They have great chemistry. Obviously, the first match got cut short for that scary incident, but both matches have been fantastic. I was shocked. I thought Hangman was going to win back to back. So, what'd you think of this opening match? And just kind of, do you think they counted the first one as a win for Moxley, right? Obviously, because Hangman did they announce it as a, so technically Moxley's up 2-1. I didn't know if they were going to maybe say, all right, we've had one-on-one and like a full match. So yeah, something, I don't know. But what'd you think of everything that went down to start the show last night?
I thought this was great. I think them making the point that John has still not decisively beat Hangman was kind of the point of this match. So I feel like they're going to have a third match. It's probably going to be a stipulation match of some kind.
Last man standing maybe, or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I thought this was great. I think their story has been great. I think that they've gotten the most out of all of their appearances together since Hangman has been back. And I feel like Hangman really needed this because I thought his title reign was underrated. And I think a lot of people were kind of down on him at some point. He didn't deliver, because his matches as champion were great.
Yes.
I don't know why people somehow forgot that, but I think he needed something else to remind people, not just that he can deliver in the ring, but he can deliver with the character stuff as well. I would
have like said the next logical step for them would be like a dog collar match of some type, but they've overdone that in AEW. So I'm intrigued where they'll go, because I think that's a great, what's the next pay-per-view coming up here? Revolution, right? It's coming up soon.
Yeah,
March 5th.
March 5th,
yeah,
I believe.
So that's about a month out. So you could definitely do it. I was blown away too. Like that whole thing was just they were just beating the shit out of each other, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh God!"
Moxley was a bloody mess per usual.
He's taking over the mantle for Cody of like, you got to make sure you bleed
every week. If he's wrestling,
Cody got some color in the Rumble too.
He did.
He did.
I just. Yeah.
If Cody bleeds in this WrestleMania main event, I am gonna howl at the top of my lungs.
It would be incredible. He should. We got.
Prince is like, you can.
You're saying first blood match, Mox loses in the first 2 minutes. I do think a lot of the talk, right? A lot of Hangman in this feud has been saying, I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to knock you out, blah, blah, blah. So I do feel like a last man standing or something of that sort, because Hangman did get knocked out, unfortunately, for real in the first match. And then the whole story's been, I'm going to knock your ass out. I'm coming back to knock you out.
Steve Blackman fight pit.
There we go. But yeah, I thought it was really, and they really have brought the best out of it. This is the best. I've always been I love Hangman. But he needed a kind of a shot in the arm in a little bit. And I think Moxley was the perfect guy to give him that shot in the arm. And they both have elevated themselves even higher than when they were fighting each other. And I've been a huge proponent of it.
Like I joke about the best of 7, but you don't license the NBA on NBC theme to use it just once, right?
It's true. That's one of it's so little of a thing, but when I love it. It reminds me of my childhood listening to that song, and they're showing the lineup for the rest of the show, and I was like, oh my God!
And Matt Jackson's got a
no, Nick.
Sorry,
how many takes you think that took? You think that was first take?
You think, yeah.
That's a general question. It was good form. Yeah, pretty good form. He switched it. Well, you think that was the first take?
No.
Okay.
No.
Also,
he might have tried it a few times.
Yeah. Also, Isaiah Cassidy moaning in Kenny Omega's ear might have been my single favorite moment of the whole show last night. That was.
Look,
I was 10 minutes. I was laughing.
And then the Bucks changed their Twitter about why is Isaiah moaning like that?
Just the reaction of everybody. I think Nick's in the background being like, "What?" Like he's just like,
just everything about it was funny. I think the moment in itself was funny, but him doing it and then Ethan Page immediately going, "Nice."
Oh man, it was really good. I was and then it's been all over social media today, so I've watched it probably 15 times.
If you watch it right after he did it and just pause and look at everybody's reactions around him, Matt Hardy's got the biggest smile on his face.
Great. Was that planned? Was that planned, or do you think like, this is the moment? We're just gonna do it?
I don't know.
It was great.
He's done it a few times. Like he's done the moan a few times, but that was. You might have to retire it. I don't know. I don't know if there'll be a better. You might have to retire it after that one. That was.
Isaiah, that's his crowning moment.
That was that was his. That was good. Am I the only one that thinks that Billy Gunn's going to turn on the Acclaim next week and his kids are going to win the belts?
I think the Guns are going to win, and I have a feeling either Billy's going to turn or he's going to realize he got duped
by the kids.
Yes.
They duped him into it, and then he ends up, Okay.
As a father, I was sitting there like,
bruh,
shut up.
They took it to a level. When he was trying to leave.
Don't worry about it.
You know, hey, walk out like you always did, okay, but then the pill ball. I mean, they went deep. They went deep there. Yeah. It was.
The Guns are kind of hit or miss to me. I think that segment they cut after they beat FDR and they had like that rest in peace FDR
or whatever. Yeah.
I thought that was funny, but they've had other things where I'm just like, I'm not really into this. But I will give them their credit this week. This week when they did that and Billy gets back in the ring, and after Austin said it, he's kind of trying to look away and he's like, no, look at me. And he's like, you can see he's like quivering. Yeah. Great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never had it. I've never had it to that level with I'll use my oldest as an example. He's a teenager. And every once in a while he'll say something, and I'll go, what did you say? And I know that he'll get the look that Austin gave. I was like, I've seen that. Like, because I'm like, what did you just say to me? Like, you're not supposed to be talking like that.
Yeah.
Nope,
but I did think perfect.
Like, and then I'm going to get his. I thought he was going to hit him.
Yeah, and then he gets angry and he says, "I accept." And even the Acclaimed were like, "Whoa, hey, wait!" Like they were like, "What?" You know, kind of hesitant.
Shout out to the wrestling dads of the world, Rey Mysterio and Billy Gunn, for not beating their kids' asses on television. Good for them. Good for them.
It's true. We still got that story to wait for to see what the hell happened to Rey.
Yeah,
but he's injured, right? I think that's why he wasn't.
Is that why he's injured in real life? Is that why?
Yeah, I think he's injured.
That's unfortunate. Yeah,
and they didn't have my man Dolph Ziggler in the back to just take his spot and consider his Royal Rumble streak. No, they had to just give him a.
They're just like, you know what? We're only gonna have 29 dudes in this one because nobody's filling in for Rey.
Hey, but Dolph, I know you're ready, but enjoy the Elimination Chamber blow-off match. We're not gonna keep this impressive 15 Rumble streak match alive because we don't like you. But Rey's hurt. I don't know. Anyway,
Dom struggling to tear that mask in half.
Oh my God, the whole way down he couldn't do it. And that was a long ass ramp. Long ass ramp, and he couldn't do it.
And Rey backstage afterwards because he says, "Dad," he's like, "Son, you should have pre-cut that."
Yeah,
he's like, "I could do it, Dad. I could do it." No, just pre-cut it a little bit, and it'll tear super easy.
Yeah, and then Spencer says, "Just wait, Dom and Rhea show up to ruin Rey's Valentine's Day." That's what they're gonna do.
He shows up, all the chocolates are out.
We got Cody couldn't even win a 30-man Rumble. But oh my God. You know, so next week.
Eventually, it was like a 28-man Rumble too, because Corbin pretty much just got put into.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Lesnar took care of him pretty quick. It is what it is. Yeah. We saw. So we had a pretty good match between Brian Cage and Takeshita, which this AEW run for Takeshita. That's the only time I didn't know much about him. I don't. besides this AEW run, and I continue to be impressed every time I see this guy.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. And I really didn't know much about him up until only, a handful of months ago, whatever, late last year, whenever he was starting to pop up a lot more. And he's just incredible. He's got future main eventer written all over him. I love the stuff that they've made, because he was Danielson's first challenger in this whole thing. But I love how they've maneuvered this into him getting a match with MJF next week. I'm hoping Daniel, I know MJF doesn't wrestle a ton. I think he still wrestles only like 18 times total or something like that since he's been in the company. So it's rare when he wrestles, and I know he hasn't lost a ton. But I would love Danielson or somebody, Danielson in particular, to like mess with MJF next week so Takeshita gets a win. So down the line, he gets a title match with MJ. I'm all in. I like him a lot. I've liked everything I've seen, and I've loved this story, this kind of side story with MJF as part of the bigger story with Danielson. And I love how they talk about it on commentary where he said that Danielson is his hero. So like he is, he's not letting MJF do the shady shit anymore. He's stepping in. I've been nothing but impressed with this guy. And obviously you think he's incredible as well. So I'm pumped for this match with MJF next week. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at some point when Brian Cage was off TV, you had a lot of people online going, well, was Brian Cage even that good anyway? He was kind of boring, and was he really that good? No, a lot of you guys owe him an apology. This guy has been great since he's been back. He's putting on some great matches. I thought he was great last week. He was great this weekend. Is Takeshita match. Takeshita coming out of the torture rack and countering into that Blue Thunder bomb. Like,
incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
He's amazing. Like the brain buster he pulled off into that knee strike to win.
Jeez, at one point, he just picked up Brian Cage and powerbombed him regularly, but he did it with such ease.
Oh yeah, the Liger bomb was.
Yeah, the Liger bomb. Now, it was with such ease, and like Brian Cage ain't small. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, man almighty, like what can't this guy do?
I'm not an expert and I'm not on the insides of anything, but it was always blowing my mind. Like, how do you not like just put that guy on TV every week? Because he always gives you a quality match and he exceeds expectations every time. There's got to be some backstage shit with Cage where they're just like, is he worth the headache? Because it's like every time he's out there, my twin brother, as I've tweeted out, we have similar builds. I've stood next to him. It's uncanny how ripped we are.
I don't know. I think the thing that really hurt him was that he became the least interesting guy in his stable. Yeah. And I feel like once Hook joined, Hook was more cool than him. Then Hobbs was more interesting, and Ricky's got future star written all over him. And Brian was just kind of like the odd man out. And then when he turned face, he didn't really get the buzz that I think they expected him to get.
Yeah.
I still don't get his direction right now.
Yeah, I don't either, but he's been having great matches, man.
Where's Hobbs been? You mentioned I haven't seen Hobbs in a minute. Is he hurt?
No, he's been doing the backstage segments.
Yeah, he's been doing the Book of Hobbs, the backstage segments. Yeah, I don't think, and again, I don't regularly watch Dark all the time. But I don't think we've seen him wrestle in a bit, but he's at least done the segments. And obviously we'll talk about at the end of the match, at the end of the night, what happened. Cause I do think down the line, Hobbs should play into that down the line. But you mentioned Ricky Starks. I love Ricky Starks. We all love Ricky Starks. Does Ricky Starks need to be fighting Chris Jericho? So he already beat Chris Jericho, did he not?
Yes.
Yeah.
So why does he have to go through four people to fight Chris Jericho again? When
he's on a cruise.
Is that what it is? Or is it just is it like in Jericho? And I'm pro Jericho too. Like he's still relevant. Like, but is it in Jericho's contract that every feud he's in needs to last 9 months? Is that something that we have to do here? Like, why?
I don't know.
Very weird.
Jericho storytelling, brother.
Jericho was doing some of his best work last year. I think that his matches had vastly improved last year. I thought his promos were better last year, but God, I just don't want to see Ricky linked to this guy for another few months. He beat him already, man.
That's what
I just
I'm saying.
don't. They both beat them. Andretti beat him too. Why?
Yeah. It's
Why
like
are
both
they
these
both
guys.
trying to get a match? It just doesn't make sense.
Like,
it was the first year of Jericho. He held the title. He was helping getting the company started. Then that second year of Jericho was like, let me put over these MJF guys, these pillars. Let me get them over. And now it's like he's trying to get this next group over too, but just something's not there for me. Where it's like, yeah, Ricky Starks and Andretti, what are we doing? Move on to something else. Like, you beat him.
I don't get it. And then it makes it worse that you're doing the gauntlet gimmick because you're already doing that with MJF. So now you have two of these things happening on the same show. And the MJF thing is actually ingenious because I didn't really get it until he cut that promo last week when he was like, "Oh, you can't help yourself, can you? You hurt that shoulder." And I was like, "It's just brilliant." He knows that Brian loves pro wrestling. He knows that he's gonna go out there and give it his all every week. And so, how is the best way to beat him? You tire this guy down for weeks and weeks and weeks. So by the time you get to that Iron Man match, the shoulder's gonna be banged up, and you're gonna pick the carcass.
Yep.
But for me, I guess I'll ask you, Phil, because I've talked to JPJ about this numerous times. Like, Bryan Danielson is bulletproof. He is a legend. But in the AEW, his run, he takes these big losses or draws. Like, at what point do we just give him that win? Because he's got to face MJF, and I don't think anybody expects him to lose or to win. But it's another big loss and another big title moment.
Well, I mean, at this point, he doesn't really need a win. He's Brian. Like, he's Teflon.
Yeah.
I think that the big issue is that he stayed in that feud with Jericho too long. He took too many losses to Jericho, and I think that was the issue. Because if he just took that loss to Mox, that's one thing. He took that loss to Hangman, and of course that pushed Hangman forward as champion for his first feud. But I think he stayed in that Jericho feud way too long.
Yeah.
That was really the only losses that was just like, why are we doing this? The other losses made sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
PCO code.
Yeah, that's what
yeah, and I mean, even this makes sense because, that makes sense for Max's first real challenge as a champion because everybody's critique of him is you're just a talker, you can't wrestle, and so it makes sense for him
the ultimate wrestler. To get his first challenge.
Yeah, to get the ultimate wrestler and like the ultimate wrestler stipulation match of an Iron Man match, and to get notch that on your belt as your first big win as champion, that makes sense. So I'm fine with it. And I think that he's gonna get a big win eventually with AEW. I just don't think that it needs to be over younger guys. I think that he should be losing to guys like MJF. He should be losing to guys like Daniel Garcia because those guys can benefit from that.
Yeah, and I agree. And like he's getting a lot of big wins right now on the way to, you know what I mean? So like,
I just hope the next next MJF feud isn't a labors of love. I want him to see something different. That's what I'm looking forward to.
But I kind of like how that's MJF's shtick though. He doesn't do it he shouldn't do it for everything. But I do like how this is like the third person that he's been like, okay, well, like his long, you know, you want to come
the
at
final
me?
Boss.
He's the final boss. And I do like how that's kind of his thing. I don't think he should do it every feud that he's in. But like I do think for the bigger ones, when it's right, I think I kind of like how it's his thing.
But yeah, I do like that in the company that prides itself on being the straightforward wrestling company, that he's the guy that's like, no, I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm not going to wrestle.
Yeah,
I'm just going to talk.
He's definitely very good at what he does. Don't get me wrong.
I mean,
I'm only asking like contrarily, but I mean, I do want to see him evolve a little bit. Like I said, I don't think he needs to do that for a guy like Action Andretti.
I will say this though, because when you look at MJF's run though for the last, let's say 2 years, he's given most of these guys their best feud. I mean, if you look at that Jericho feud is probably his best feud. He absolutely gave Punk his best feud. Like, I don't think that's even up for debate.
Oh, for sure.
He possibly gave Cody his best feud too.
I think he did. So
And I think there was still something left with that Cody MJF story too. I really, when Cody left, I was like, damn. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen that like now, but
yeah, I think MJF is very good at understanding what somebody else's strength is and giving them the time to showcase it. Because I feel like that's what he's been doing with Takeshita. Because, this was just such a divisive promo when he came out and did the Speak American thing.
Yeah,
and I understood what he was doing because you did have the Discos of the world. And you did have other people that are like, oh, can this guy get over with the American crowd though? Because there's always this disconnect with Japanese wrestlers with the language barrier. Is that the issue here? And MJF gave him the spotlight to show, no, nobody cares about that. This guy can wrestle. And I think allowing this guy to not just get on and show you that he's a great wrestler, but also show you he can get over by still speaking Japanese is the way to go. And I feel like that's what your heel should be doing. Your heel should be getting you to look at this guy in a different way. He did it with Yuta as well. When people were like, yeah, Yuta's he's not a good character, he's not a good talker, putting the guy in an uncomfortable situation and letting him sink or swim is what you should be doing.
Yeah, I agree. And MJF is perfect. He can talk anybody into anything that he's doing. Yeah, I just think he's the perfect guy to have that type of thing with. And
it's I don't want to make this a WWE versus AEW like debate thing, but it seems like AEW has been prone with, Japanese wrestlers, or like you said, a Wheeler Yuta, of letting them sink or swim and seeing what happens, opposed to WWE is like, it's not going to work. So we're going to protect you at all costs. But like you said, and Takeshita is amazing and everybody's buying in and they love it. And like you said, even Wheeler Yuta against it, MJF is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But we got
our buddy Josh Robinson popping in.
Good day.
Hello, Josh. Always good to see you, my friend.
It is morning time over. It's Friday morning.
Right? Friday morning for him.
How's the
Friday
future
midday or something?
How's the future?
He does live in the future. That is true.
The thing that I do like about what AEW does with their non-American wrestlers too is that they do allow them to just speak their language. Yeah. They don't go, oh, well, you have to cut these like long scripted promos. Like, I don't want to see Sheeta come out and cut these long scripted promos because that's not what we're interested in her for. It's the same thing what they did with Roosh last night. They let Roosh just speak Spanish.
Roosh got a bag last night too.
Yes, he did.
They opened that suitcase. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I thought Roosh came out of that segment looking great. I thought it was the same with what they were doing with Penta and Alex, and letting Alex be his interpreter, but just letting Penta be Penta and speak Spanish. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And then they even dialed back the Alex involvement a little bit there. He doesn't do much of the like over the top translating anymore. They let Penta go, and then he kind of just like cliff notes it now in a way.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, and I think, and WWE does that with Asuka. They let Asuka
They let her do it now when they let.
Yeah, they didn't at first, but they understood that, okay, like she can get over yelling in Japanese like she does, and they let her do that. So I just think it's more natural for the performance. It's their natural language. They look more badass. They sound more badass, honestly, when they're it's just more natural. And it's just, I do think that's the way to go than having them try to cut a long-winded promo in maybe a language that they're not as comfortable talking in than they are. It'd be the same thing if I had to go and they were like, well, you need to say this whole thing in Spanish. I'd be like, I'll try my best, but I can't guarantee that I'm not going to look like an idiot up here. Yeah. Because I don't know how to speak the language. You know what I mean?
Jimmy James, that is a Roosh thing to do. Yeah, I'll take your money, then I'll take your time.
Yeah, 100%.
That is Roosh, baby.
100%. I like Roosh. And I thought that segment was good. MJF, he had already been brawling. He was getting out of the building. MJF here. I need you to hurt this guy for me because I'm done with him.
When changed the shirt? When changed the shirt?
Yeah, he did change his shirt. That is true. When do you think they filmed that? Like 2-3 weeks ago, probably?
No.
Yeah. All right. And then, the other, I do want to mention, I thought Jade Cargill and Red Velvet had a good match last night. I thought that was a good match.
Yeah, and all the haters on Twitter when I said that.
That's why I wanted to say.
Suck it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to say that.
People were mad when you said that?
Oh, I was like, I think Jade Cargill and Red Velvet had incredible chemistry.
Yeah, it was
so
very
I know
good.
The match was going to be good, and they were like, "This sounds like a mark for AEW." And I was like, everybody was just
God
like,
forbid you like something.
That's her best rival in the company.
Yeah.
They've had the most history together from day one.
Yeah.
And I thought it made perfect sense for a 50th win to go back to that rivalry, and they had good chemistry in that match.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Okay, so who do you think?
Well, this is
We're
what I
at
was just going to ask.
50-0.
I said we're at 50-0. I think Jade is above the TBS title at this point. That's my personal opinion. I would if I talked about this with our buddy Drew earlier today on Firmly AEW, but if they are trying to go this AEW Originals versus Outsiders route, which is kind of being rumored for Blood and Guts, I personally would like Jade to be on the AEW Originals team. I think that would be a good spot for her in general. Yeah. But where do we see her going? Do we see her just continuing and going, 51, 52, whatever? Do we think who's going to be the one that takes it from her? Are they waiting for Statlander to get healthy? Because that might have been the choice before she got hurt again. Where does Jade go now?
I don't know, because I feel like there are people that you can slot in there that she hasn't had matches with. Yeah. Like, she hasn't had the big match with Sheeta yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There are other wrestlers she can wrestle. I feel like you can circle back to Willow.
Yeah. You got a couple people saying Willow in the chat.
But I feel like the person that beats her, I feel like you gotta set them up to be as big. Like, you can't just have them beat her and then they just go off and disappear off TV. That'd be horrible. So I feel like it has to be a big deal. I'm just not sure who it is yet, because at one point I was like, okay, it can be Willow, but then they burned that match out too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Then Statlander unfortunately got hurt. But regardless, when Jay loses the title, she's going for the main title.
Oh, 100%.
She's too big of a star at this point.
I
feel like it's only a matter of time
for her to get to 50. Did you think they ever intended to get 50-0, or it was just like there's just not the right mix or the right vibe to pull the trigger yet?
I don't know, because
there was a lot of like plug and play title defenses for like that 35 to 40 something range where it was like, yeah, we're just kind of knocking these out.
Yeah, I don't know. I do feel like they've got to build up the person to beat her soon, because I don't want it to feel random. The only way that it could feel random if it's somebody that's completely new to the company that has not wrestled at all yet, and that's going to be the person that just comes in and beats her and has her number. That makes sense.
I was going to say, what about Britt Baker?
Oh, people would be furious.
People would.
Are you kidding me?
People would.
The internet,
100%.
Internet would explode if it was Britt.
But they seem to be going the baby face route.
You think it's bad now, just like in Jade Carter?
They seem to be going the baby face route with Britt. That was the first time she looked vulnerable in a while, getting attacked by Saraya and Tony last night. So they're going that baby face route, maybe.
So I've been thinking this for a while. I think they're going to, because Britt's getting great reactions. So is Jamie. So it only makes sense to turn them face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Britt is going to stay face. I think she's eventually going to turn on Jamie.
And
because
she wants that belt back, man.
She wants the belt back, and she just works better as a heel. She just does. So I don't think she's going to stay face long. I think it's just for this program of AEW Originals, because the AEW crowd is going to ride with their homegrown stars, because they always have.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense to make her face now, because she's going to get cheered. But yeah, I don't know. Part of me really, really would like to see Mercedes versus Jade. I don't know if that's the person that beats her, but I really would like to see that match.
That would be incredible.
That would be, and also it just optically, she's 50-0 with that TBS title. It's time to all right, why isn't she getting that main event shot? We know. Again, we know as people that watch this, but I'm thinking about that guy that tunes in and goes, she's 50-0. Why isn't she the main champion? Oh,
yeah. When are they gonna pay off this Bow Wow thing? That Bow Wow thing happened
and
it just disappeared.
That disappeared. That disappeared real quick.
I think it's okay, Bow Wow, you're going after Jade Cargill. How do we make that make sense? She's not gonna fight you. on TV. Like
I'm telling you, he shows up
with Mercedes Moné.
He shows up with Mercedes.
Yeah, he had that connection when he was younger with Snoop, and it all can work. Yeah, he shows up with Mercedes and goes, "Yeah, I obviously can't fight you, but I know somebody who does and who can." Yep, there we go.
Are they not pulling the trigger on that because maybe she's got a deal with where she has New Japan where they don't want to?
Well, that match is not till what, March as well.
It's like
End of February.
That match is like
it's in 2 weeks. It's
2 weeks.
February 18th. It's the same day as Elimination Chamber.
Oh my goodness.
I think, and that probably starts at that 3:00 in the morning slot or something.
No, it's
here. It's in San Jose.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah, they're doing. That's the one that's in California.
That's a busy night. That's All-Star Saturday is that night as well. Then there's Elimination Chamber.
All-Star Saturday where Nick Jackson wins, Matt Jackson, whichever one of the Jacksons
3-point contest
wins the Celebrity All-Star MVP.
Yeah.
I do have. If we don't, I don't know how much more Dynamite you want to dive into.
Oh, we just got the main event, really. But other than that, do you think?
No, I just wanted to ask. It was completely off of Dynamite topic, or we could tie it back in. Kota Ibushi, free agent.
Yo, Speedball and Kota is gonna rule. That is gonna rule.
You see some Kota Ibushi show up in Dynamite or on Dynamite AEW programming, or what do you? I was kind of shocked because I don't follow.
Give him to Danielson 1 week. Have MJF go. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
The one right before the pay-per-view. You can fight Kota Ibushi.
I try to keep up, but I was surprised he left. He was like a staple of New Japan.
I mean, well, he was that. All of that stuff came out.
I was gonna say there was some drama there.
There was drama there with Kota, so it's not that surprising. And he had that injury, and I think most of Ibushi's career, he's been a freelancer. He's been a free agent. So I think he tried it. He tried to sign a contract and, make New Japan his home. And they did some weird booking decisions with him too. Having him win the G1 and then go on and merge the titles and then lose immediately was kind of strange. I don't know. As for where he shows up next, you got to imagine that Kenny Omega's in his ear.
Oh,
it's like a no-brainer. Like,
you got to imagine he's in his ear. And I think if he would have gone to WWE, that would have happened by now. He had the chance to do that when he did the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah.
So I think if he goes anywhere in the U.S., it's probably going to be AEW.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I dust off that Cruiserweight Classic, and that was just
terrific stuff, man. That was one of my favorite things they've ever done.
People go?
Dude, that was one of my favorite things they've ever done.
You've got a bunch of those guys just hanging around doing nothing.
Yeah.
Why are you not using Cedric Alexander? He's amazing.
I know. Well, they might. They're bringing back the Hurt Business. That's happening.
You could just give me Cedric and Mustafa Ali on TV for 20 minutes of a 3-hour Raw, and you'd be like, that match ruled. Why not just do that?
Yeah, Mustafa Ali and Buddy Matthews now, but Buddy Murphy. That year in 205 Live, they were having some of the best matches in the company that year.
205 Live was their best show at one point.
It was very, very good. And then they stopped caring about it, and it was what it was, sadly. But all right, we get to the main event of the show. The match was what I expected. Darby to almost die multiple times throughout the match by getting killed by Samoa Joe. I expected this. However, the outcome was not something I expected. I was shocked, actually. I thought Darby was having a really good run here. Really good.
I was waiting for the roll-up win.
Or whatever. Or he put the hoodie back on, hits the coffin, whatever, how they were going to do it. Dude comes down in a friggin' thumbtacked gimmicked hoodie. Incredible.
How long do you think that took to make?
Long.
Do you think he made it himself?
I don't know.
Of course not.
No.
He didn't make that himself.
No.
I doubt it.
But
Darby strikes me as the kind of guy that would make that himself. He'd be like, no, I want this to be, I want to do it. I'm a DIY guy.
Maybe. But I thought the main event was really, really good. It was some gnarly spots. The suicide dive when Joe was holding the table was great. And then the other one where Joe did his walking away and he went through the table was gnarly looking. It was just a brutal match that you would expect. Obviously, a lot more happened than just those two moments, but it was a brutal bout. Darby getting tossed around like a feather, really, by Joe. I think Darby's brought out the best in Joe in a while.
Yes.
These 3 matches. But I did not expect Samoa Joe to re-win the TNT title. I just didn't see that one coming. Obviously, Phil, I'll let you lead the main event. And were you shocked that Joe won the title? Or were you going in thinking he could? I thought it was for sure Darby was taken.
I was stunned. I thought Darby was going to retain here.
Yeah.
But shame on me for doubting our king of television. All hail the king of television. Long may he reign. I thought the story of this match. I thought this match was great. I thought the story of it was great. Of Darby coming in and being insanely reckless throughout the match, and Joe just letting him get all this stuff off. And like, I think the funniest spot of the entire match is Darby walking around the ring, tearing up the ring, pulling up all the padding and exposing the planks under it. And the whole time, Joe is just somewhere cleaning the blood off his face and waiting like, yeah, okay, all right. And then he comes to do the suicide dive, and he just walks out the way like, what do you think this is? I'm just going to let you do all of this? Get out of here.
Yeah.
And then uses his hoodie on top of that, smothers him with the hoodie, and then gives him this completely nasty looking muscle buster onto the planks.
Yeah, from the top rope. Brutal.
Just great stuff. Just him using his recklessness against him was genius. I think even if you just look at the fact that Darby has defended the title for 5 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
And him just like, yeah, no, I'm just going to stay off TV this whole time and let you wear yourself out and come back and pick the pieces.
Yeah. And it was amazing. And then afterwards, we saw the returning Wardlow, new haircut and all. He comes out, takes out Samoa Joe. Looks like he's trying to get him up for a powerbomb, and Joe escapes. So obviously, we're heading for a collision course one-on-one with Wardlow and Samoa Joe for the TNT title, in which I would expect Wardlow to win it back. And then that's where I kind of hope we start seeing Hobbs maybe come back, and it's Wardlow and Hobbs kind of one-on-one, because they were involved in that kind of 3-way a little bit earlier, a few months back or a month back. So, so that was the big moment, was Wardlow returning. And I do think over these Wardlow's been kind of one of those guys that was like, you could make an argument at one point he was as over as anybody could be in that company. Yeah. And then he's kind of been doing this, riding the waves a little bit. So to give him that moment to close the show like that made me feel good. It was good to see him back and like him being presented like, no, this guy is a show ender. He's that level. We remember what, we remember him.
So I felt bad because this is the second time Wardlow came out and I didn't care.
Yeah.
This was the second time, like, he came out against when Joe beat him, and I was like, no, I don't want you to beat Joe. Joe's doing great stuff. I don't want him to lose. And this was the second time after this great Darby feud. These guys have had 3 great matches together, and I'm just like, I guess Wardlow. And that's not to say I dislike Wardlow, but man, I feel like he's lost a lot of the luster that he
really has.
And JF got the best feud out of him.
I don't know. I feel like I kind of feel like making him TNT champion
when they
harmed him a little bit, because the TNT championship, for as long as it's existed, has been kind of TV championship. It's been the have open challenges or have these great matches on TV, and that's just not what Wardlow does. Wardlow squashes guys. Wardlow beats guys decisively within seconds. So you don't want to see that on TV constantly with him as champion. That's going to run his course. And so I just don't know if they ever figured out a way to keep him interesting as champion. And I think that kind of harmed him.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, because it was definitely... And I think he got a rough deal, because his moment was that match with MJF where he was going to get catapulted to the next level. And that was the weekend of the plane take. That's when all the MJF stuff went down.
I forgot about that.
And kind of like how Brawl Out took a lot of the shine off of All Out, I feel like the MJF stuff took a little bit of shine off of Wardlow. Like, people weren't talking about Wardlow's big victory. People were talking about MJF was leaving. You know what I mean?
And
it
he
was
came
just,
out and cut that promo the next night, and
then Wardlow was a figment of our imagination, basically at that point. And it was just like, and then they gave him the TNT title, and it was just then he was 6-man in with FTR as champ. I was just, I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, I think then you put him against Joe, and then Joe just became more and more interesting by the week.
Yeah.
By the time Joe turned heel, it's just like, nah, I want to see what Joe's doing.
Joe looks like he's having some of the most fun of his career. He's like, I just love
God, it's so good. I'm so glad he's still doing it at this level. Yeah. And it's just incredible. And like I said, I think these 3 matches with Darby have been like some of the best stuff he's done in a long time. Like, it's really, really good. But yeah, so that was Dynamite. That was, man, we've not almost gone nearly a couple hours here. So on our way out, first of all, Phil, thank you for being a part of the show. We're so happy you came back and joined us for this episode. It was a lot of fun. Hope you had a good time. Before we get out of here, why don't you let the people know where they can find you? If they all, I'm assuming most of them already do know, with Grapsody and stuff like that. One of the best shows you can listen to weekly. You guys are absolutely slaughtering things. How good you guys are doing. Got that Tony Khan interview that you had. Amazing. Just doing some good stuff over there. So let the people know where they can find you. Give your plugs out, man.
No, it's funny. I just sat here and thought about it. And we did that Tony Khan interview in December. That doesn't seem like that was a month ago.
No, right?
No. It's like
it's already February. January was like 63 days.
Yeah.
It's just like, that doesn't seem like it was a month ago.
Yeah. So much shit has happened in the month of January, and just wrestling alone. Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at PhilDL616. You can watch Grapsody every Saturday at noon Eastern on Fightful's YouTube channel. I believe if you don't want to see my mug every weekend, you can listen to the audio on most streaming platforms as well. You can find my writing at Bleacher Report as well. I just did an article grading every division of WWE programming under the Triple H era. It's my opinion. Don't have to agree with it.
Yeah,
as all things.
real quick. I know you're a big NBA guy, and it's okay. I know you don't like the Celtics. That's the team I root for. No, I just want your opinion. Where are you thinking from what we've seen in almost the first half of the league? Where do you think maybe, like, who are your top contenders for the champion? I'm assuming the Celtics have to be in the discussion. They got one of the best records in the league. They still need to pull through for me. Should have won last year, son of a bitch. But, it's all right. It's okay. It's fine. It's totally fine.
I think
they're young guys. Sometimes you got to lose in order to win.
Came up against the wrong team. It just felt like that was Steph's
Draymond got in their head, and that shit was over. That's what it was. Draymond was like, I'm going to screw with all you youngsters, all you kids. I'm going to mess with you.
I feel like Steph was on a mission too, though.
He was.
Steph was playing incredible.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's tough because for the longest, was like, I don't know what to make of this Brooklyn team because it looks like Brooklyn's out of the mix. And every time I say that, they'll find a way to start winning games again, and they'll pop back in the mix.
And they're doing it without Durant right now too. So, like, you assume if he's back by the play, like,
it's crazy. Like, I thought all of the drama before the season started with Kyrie, you thought maybe Kyrie might have been out of there by All-Star break. Then he has all this other drama during the season, and he gets suspended. And they somehow came out of this and went on this long winning streak.
Ben Simmons can't seem to figure it out, but then he figures it out. Like,
he's an odd case as well. He'll come out there and give you like 5 points, but then he'll give you like 10 rebounds and 8 assists.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of this Brooklyn team. I feel like that is probably Boston's toughest competition coming out of the conference. Crazy enough, I did not think that at first, but they might be. And I mean, you still got Philadelphia lurking. You never know what you're going to get out of Harden. I personally don't believe in Harden at all. He folds every year in the playoffs.
I agree.
I do not believe in this guy.
Leave my boy alone. Rockets fan here.
Yeah, you're
James Harden is on a pedestal for me.
But here's the thing: when you look at that Brooklyn team before they made that trade for Harden, they were a better team. They should have never made that trade. They should have never made the trade. They would have still had Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie's lighted up in Dallas.
Dinwiddie's a good player.
They still would have had Jared Jack. They still would have had They traded somebody else too.
Yeah, oh my god!
They gave up way too much for Harden, and it did not pan out well for them.
Picks too. They definitely were. Like,
they should have just kept the team they had. But long way.
They were trying to recreate the Dwight Howard, James Harden pick and roll thing with Embiid, but you didn't need to do it. You were fine.
I mean, I think Philly is still good, but man, that ended up not going well for Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn would be further along if they didn't make that trade.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just looking at it right now, it looks like this is Boston's conference to win because, like I said, it's pretty much Brooklyn and maybe Philadelphia. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think as long Giannis, too. You got to worry about Giannis.
I mean,
to an extent.
Yeah,
I just feel
Milwaukee
like he's
better than we give him credit for.
Yeah. And last year, they took us to 7, and we had to win a big game 6 on the road to get there. They didn't have Middleton that whole series. I don't know if we get through as much as I love Smooth is in the house. Good to see you, friend. We're finishing up here talking some NBA a little bit because Phil's a big NBA guy, but I don't know if the Celtics even get through Milwaukee last year if Middleton plays because they were taken to the limit without him. You know, because Giannis was getting 40 points and 20 rebounds a game that series.
Favorite week of this, like 2 weeks, was like,
hey, JPJ. I was stressed out the whole time. I was like, I try not. I was so professional. Like, I'm focusing over here, but I was like, oh, shit, I'm losing my mind.
But I mean, that was a fun run in the finals last year. I mean, like I said, you just came up against Steph having an all-time great finals performance, and fucking Andrew Wiggins turning into the second best player on that team.
And that's really what was it. If Wiggins doesn't have that performance, I think even with Steph playing apex level, I still think we win.
And Jordan Poole got right at the right time.
Yeah,
too.
Jordan Poole had a hot game in the series. Like they just had everything they needed, you know. And Tatum got exhausted towards the end. You could tell. Those last 3 or 4, like he was.
Wiggins was playing fantastic defense on him. I was amazed by it. I was like, "This is really happening." Wiggins is the second best player on the team.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Which is why, like, even though their road record is terrible right now, I would not count out the Golden State Warriors. I still think that in the playoffs they can still be
and that's
a
thing,
matchup problem.
If I was 1, 2, or 3 in the West, I'm praying. I'm like, I do not want to see Golden State in the first round because they know how to win. They've been here before. If they're hot, they're as good as anybody. You know, they're the one team I'd be like, nope, I want nothing to do with in the first round. You know,
they're all at that stage in their career. Like, we just got to get in. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it's right now. It's looking like Boston out of the East.
Do we believe in Denver? Like Denver's the team. I think they got the best player in the league. You could make an argument for, or one of, clearly one of.
Well, clearly things might change if the Bulls trade DeRozan and Levine to the West.
Wait, is that the rumor?
That's the proposed trade someone at ESPN made because, of course, somebody has to figure out every year how to make LeBron's team better by a trade deadline.
I had to ask him
who would
he's a
Chicago
guy, so I was like,
first round picks and Westbrook and Pat Bev. Like, no, Pat Bev is from Chicago.
The Lakers don't even have any picks to give, don't they? They have no picks.
27 and 29.
No, those are picks that we're not going to be able to use for nothing. What?
No, they can't do that. They can't.
I think the trade was like Lonzo and Levine and somebody else for that, and I was like, that's an awful trade. I don't know what's going on with Lonzo. I'm a little worried about him because I thought he would be back by now.
I saw some reports that like he's not sure why his knee still hurts, and the doctors aren't sure why his knee still hurts.
I think they're saying it might be nerve damage at this point. I'm not sure, but I'm worried about him because I thought for sure he'd be back by now. And boy, the team definitely needs him. They do not have a starting point guard without this guy.
Yeah.
Caruso ain't it. He's not a starting point guard. I really like Io, but he's not ready either. Yeah. What a deflating season. But at least there's been other fun basketball to watch.
Oh yeah, it's been good. It's been fun. So, all right. If you stick around, friends, after Pluggo gives our plugs and stuff like that, we are going to be rating Shaza McKenzie. So stick around here for that little transition. Again,
I like how he asked us if that was okay.
Yeah.
Like, Spencer, of course it's okay.
Yeah, of course. You know. But again, Phil, thanks for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. You are always welcome. Pluggo, tell the people where they can find us, where they can find you, and then we will get out of here.
Well, you can find me at Pluggo _ on all the social medias. Just search Pluggo. You'll see this goofy face pop up. At B2Beards on all the social medias. Stick, to stay up to date on what we got going on. You might see one of us, both of us, none of us. Who knows? This weekend we got Love Wrestling Reacts. Saturday, Brunch Gimmick, Vengeance Day. So you might see us all there. You never know. I know I plan on being at least at one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so stay tuned to all the socials. JPJ, plug your shit. We'll get out of here, baby.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter and on Twitch at JPJ Loves Gaming. You can find me here on Thursday mornings. I do Firmly AEW, where we review Dynamite with Big Money Drew Nicholas, our buddy there. And then you can find me here 8 o'clock every Thursday night on Between Two Beards. Again, thank you to Phil for joining us. Thank you to everybody in the chat. A lot of participation tonight. Appreciate that a lot. And until next week, you know the drill. We will see you then. Peace out.
Look at yourself, help, and you're feeling great. I'm only taking 12 steps.